help wade through this difficult subject, I'm joined by Bill Belsey, president of bullying.org. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Bill, what was your initial reaction when you heard about Amanda Todd and cyberbullying?
Well, I guess perhaps from three different perspectives. First, as a father of a teenage girl, I can't imagine actually the pain that the family and those who cared for Amanda must feel at this moment. My father used to say, but for the grace of God, there go I. I kept, I didn't sleep actually very well last night thinking how this could have been my daughter had the circumstances been, had the circumstances been different. So I felt great pain for the family and those who cared for Amanda. I also, as I watched the video, I became aware of it in its early days, and I couldn't help but struck how absolutely very much needy and alone Amanda seemed to feel, how very much she wanted to have the approval of others, how she wanted her voice to be heard. I perhaps, there were a number of issues, involved in the story that maybe people don't know, but clearly she wanted to be noticed, cared for. When somebody paid her a compliment early on in the story, she, responded very, strongly to that. And then sadly, people used that connection later on to harm her. The other part of it, I guess, is as a classroom teacher, I teach in a middle school, and I work with teenagers all the time. And I kept thinking as I looked out at my students today, how many of them behind what might have been a facade of a smiling face to their peers or to me, how many of them were feeling perhaps equally alone or dealing with painful issues in their life. And I thought about that. And I guess the third thing I thought about, third perspective, was through my work with bullying.org. I've been doing this work for a long time now, and I remember originally coining the term cyberbullying over a decade ago. And I remember when I first started talking about it, I remember even actually a media person laughing at me on the air, not thinking it was rather trivial and not very serious. But now we know that there are real life consequences to the things that happen in cyberspace. And even though we've been trying very hard, for example, with the establishment of the National Bullying Awareness Week, each November, this year actually, the year will be the 10th anniversary, with creating bullyingcourse.com to help train teachers and parents, through bullying.org, cyberbullying.ca, the other resources and things that we've created, and the work that we've been doing for a long, long time, and not just myself, but others too. Clearly, there's just so much work that needs to be done yet. For example, most teachers in Canada, when they study to be teachers at university, rarely receive any proper a research-based course or any kind of proper training. I liken that to having nurses and doctors who aren't, properly trained to deal with the flu, which would be unthinkable today. And yet, in education, most educators are really not properly trained. So when folks like me visit a school and we say to kids, please tell an adult that you know and trust. Well, if in the case of myself and my fellow teachers, if we're not properly trained, we can actually make the situation worse. So if there's a young person like Amanda who does reach out, we need to know what to do. So I guess I reacted, very deeply and personally as a father with a teenage daughter, as a professional educator, and then in my work outside those responsibilities with bullying.org.
Her Facebook memorial page, and this is what's really disturbing, has been targeted by bullies. What would their motivation be now that she's dead?
Cyberbullying is, of all the different forms of bullying that there are, physical, verbal, psychological, social, I think that cyberbullying is the most cowardly of all of them, because those who try and do it think that they can hide the internet. You don't see the face of the person that you're hurting. Psychologists call it disinhibition. And of course, tragically, in this case, Amanda's gone. But the pain for the family and those who cared for Amanda, they are the ones now who are not only dealing with her loss, but now they're having to deal with the additional burden of having other people, you know, continue to pile on the hurt and the hate. It's very, very disturbing, and I feel very, very badly for all of those who did care for Amanda, to have to see this now, you know, now that she's gone, this additional pain.
Okay, Bill, thanks so much for joining us.
I'm sorry for the pain.
Okay, Bill, thanks so much for joining us.
I'm sorry to have to be with you on such an occasion, but I think talking about these things will help maybe parents have discussions with their kids and be much more aware of and engaged in their online activities as well, and hopefully that will help others.